Ladies and gents, my name is Xander, aka Deislayers, and in this video, we're going to go ahead and discuss and review this brand new Masterwork exotic auto rifle, and it's called the Sweet Business. Since Faction Rally was just this past week, what I happen to do is pledge to the monarchy, and as soon as I did so, you have to get to a rank of 50 if you guys want to happen to get your hands on this Masterwork for the Sweet Business. Now I'm not going to lie to you. Getting to rank 50 requires you 1,000 tokens, and this is a terrible, hideous, and horrendous grind in just about every way that you can possibly think of. But do I gotta say that it's worth it? I really wasn't sure. But the good news here is that after trying this thing out as a Masterwork version and taking it into the crucible, this thing is an absolute blast. It melts guardians, it shreds them into little smithereens, and one thing's for sure, it's definitely going to make the enemy team a little bit salty. Exactly how the weapon does this is what we're going to discuss, and this includes the weapon's PvP stats, the weapon's perks, and the weapon's TTK, which you guys are going to find quite surprising in the sense that this thing can easily still compete, and so the only thing left to do is to eviscerate that subscribe button, and let's jump right into the video. Usually, the very first thing that I love to do when I do a review like this is I like to give you guys a comprehension of the weapon's PvP stats and the weapon's time to kills. However, this is not the case with the Sweet Business, and that's because this thing is classified as an exotic for a reason. And because of this, I really want you guys to understand and grasp exactly how you're meant to use the weapon, and the best way to really grasp this concept is to understand the weapon's two unique intrinsic perks, along with the weapon's masterwork, and how those things are then going to correlate into how you're meant to use the weapon. So the two unique intrinsic perks found on the Sweet Business is Payday and Business Time. Payday states that this weapon has a larger magazine size and increases accuracy when firing from the hip. In conjunction with this, we have Business Time, and Business Time states that holding down the trigger boosts this weapon's range, rate of fire, and automatically loads ammo pickups into the magazine. With this information, the most important characteristics that I really want you guys to take away from this is that the weapon's rate of fire is going to increase with Business Time, and the only way to proc this is to, of course, hold down the trigger. What this essentially means is that with the higher rate of fire, you're then going to have a faster time to kill, and at the exact same time, you're also going to get a range increase, which is then going to give you a better damage falloff at greater distances, and these two things are extremely important to have on the Sweet Business. In correlation with this, if someone happens to be in your close range engagements, all you gotta do is simply fire from the hip, because with Payday, that's exactly what you're going to be able to do, and it's going to give you a massive increase in the accuracy, allowing you to get plenty of headshots and body shots, and because of Business Time, you're going to have that increased rate of fire as well, meaning that you're going to absolutely obliterate guardians in those close range engagements. As far as the mid and far range engagements go, those types of engagements really aren't going to be a problem for you either, and that's because with Business Time, you're going to get that increase in range like I already said, but with the massive magazine size that you get from Payday, you're going to easily never run out of bullets for those further range engagements, and so all you gotta do is aim down sights and continuously spray, which means that you're going to really eradicate guardians, and that is such a glorious sight to see. Understanding how Payday and Business Time work together and how they have this great relationship is exactly what I really want you guys to understand. But this Sweet Business gets even better, and that's because as soon as you happen to masterwork the weapon, it then gets the perk called Serious Business. Serious Business states that when this weapon is fully spun up, the flinch from incoming damage is greatly reduced. This is such an awesome thing to have, and to be honest with you, I really didn't think it was going to be that great. But in practice, this thing is absolutely incredible because you literally have absolutely no flinch on you at all, and it doesn't matter what kind of range engagement that you happen to find yourselves in, because as long as you have that Business Time and Payday working together via that full up spin, then Serious Business is also going to proc. And my friends, I can speak from personal experience, as it doesn't even feel as if you're truly getting shot, because this thing seems like it can just land shot after shot after shot, and it does so in a very rapid fire manner. Having said this, you guys can now really grasp and understand as to how you're meant to be using this weapon, and that is, of course, in its fully ramped up version when you're firing at the higher rate of fire, and then that's then going to proc this marvelous and incredible symbiotic relationship between Payday, Business Time, and Serious Business. Now the thing that you guys have to understand about the Sweet Business is that this thing's time to kill is very, very good, and it's terrible at the exact same time. When you don't happen to have business time active, the weapon's base rate of fire is at 360 rounds per minute, and with the damage output that it's doing at 14 points of damage in the head and 10 points of damage in the body, this is actually not going to associate to a very good TTK. However, there is some excellent news here, because when you do happen to have that higher rate of fire with business time, you're then going to fire the weapon at 900 rounds per minute. And at this rate of fire, this thing is going to obliterate guardians, and it does so at quite an astonishing rate. Before we go ahead and take a look at the weapon's higher rate of fire and that TTK associated with it with 900 rounds per minute, what I want to do first is look at the weapon's rate of fire with 360 rounds per minute. Like I said from before, this thing is doing 14 points of damage in the head and does 10 points of damage in the body. Now what you also gotta know about the sweet business is that this thing's going to fluctuate in terms of its overall damage output. I've seen the weapon do either 14 or 13 points of damage in the head. I've also seen it do 10 to 11 points of damage in the body, and so just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to take both of the extremes of that spectrum with 14 points of damage in the head and 10 points of damage in the body when equating this weapon's optimal headshot and body shot TTKs. The other thing that I want to mention here is that all these computational values that are being done is with a guardian that has 200 points of health. So with this in mind, the weapon's optimal headshot time to kill at a rate of fire of 360 rounds per minute is 2.33 seconds. Now if you're thinking this is bad, it's only going to get worse, because the weapon's body shot time to kill at a rate of fire of 360 rounds per minute is 3.17 seconds. Yes, my friends, this is an absolute hideous time to kill, because even if you were to try and average these two things together, you would only get an average time to kill at 2.75 seconds. And so in all honesty, this is probably one of the worst, if not the worst time to kill out of any weapon in this entire game. Luckily for us, things are about to get a little bit interesting, and the way in which it does so is when you of course proc business time. Because when you proc business time, you're going to increase the weapon's rate of fire, and that rate of fire is at 900 rounds per minute. Taking those exact same headshot and damage shot values at 14 and 10 respectively, the weapon's optimal headshot time to kill at 900 rounds per minute is 0.93 seconds, and it's going to take 12 critical headshots and 3 body shots to do so. Just to put this into perspective for you, I believe that the Anti-OD has an optimal headshot time to kill at 0.9 or 0.93 seconds, and I can't remember exactly which one of those two that it is. But with the sweet business and its rate of fire at 900 rounds per minute, it's got almost the exact same optimal headshot time to kill, and so it can easily compete with other meta weapons in this game, just like that of the Anti-OD, the Last Hope, the Graviton Lance, or even that of the Vigilance Wing. Now if we were to then go ahead and look at body shots and body shots only, with this rate of fire at 900 rounds per minute, the body shot TTK is at 1.27 seconds, and this is with a total of 20 body shots. By taking an average of 0.93 and 1.27 and dividing by 2, the overall average time to kill is at 1.1 seconds. And this is exactly what you want to have, because most of the time we're not going to hit all of our critical headshots, and most of the time we're not going to hit all of our body shots, and so it's going to lie somewhere in between. So on the majority of cases, you're most likely going to have this overall average time to kill at 1.1 seconds. After hearing all of this information, I'm sure that many of you are actually quite stunned and surprised, just the same way that I was, because I never knew that this sweet business could actually do this type of damage output and even compete like what it does in the Crucible. If I'm being 110% honest with you, I personally have never used this sweet business before in my entire life until I made it for this video. And on top of that, I thought that this thing was going to be complete muff cabbage trash and put it directly into the recycling bin, never to use it again. Needless to say, this is the exact opposite of what I really thought was going to happen, and as you guys can see right there on the screen, here's a side-by-side comparison analysis of the weapon's rate of fire at 360 and 900 respectively. Keep in mind that if you guys want to get that higher end rate of fire, you've got to be able to try and pre-fire, or to be able to shoot around corners and anticipate guardians via their radar, so that by the time that you actually see them, you have that increased rate of fire, and you're then going to be able to proc this optimal headshot time to kill at 0.93 seconds. As stunning as all this information is, the sweet business is only going to continue to get better, because this weapon's base stats has some more astounding characteristics, and that includes the weapon's range, its stability, aim assistance, and more importantly than anything else is the weapon's recoil direction. Now the majority of the time, you're going to be trying to fire down the weapon as fast as you possibly can with a higher rate of fire, and so that's why the weapon's recoil direction as well as its stability is even more important on this particular weapon than in most weapons. And as you guys can see right there on their screen, the range is at 37, stability is at 46, aim assistance at 80, and the recoil direction is at 100 out of 100. With the weapon's recoil direction at 100 out of 100, it essentially means that this thing only has vertical recoil and vertical recoil alone. When you couple that with its excellent aim assistance, this thing is going to have a lot of help, and on top of that, it's got a decent stability stat at almost 50, which in my book is exactly at the minimum, and it's only missing this by a character of 4, and so in all honesty, you're really not going to notice that big of a stability difference. As far as the range goes, that range at 37 may not seem that great to you, but just keep in mind that with the business time perk, this weapon is also going to get an increase in the range benefit as soon as you happen to get to that 900 rate of fire, and with that, the range is just going to increase, and so you're going to be able to hit more guardians at longer distances. If I had to say that there was 2 cons in terms of the weapon's base stats, I would easily say that the handling speed and the reload speed are the weakest, as each of those things are only at 10. But the good news here is that you really don't have to worry about that, and that's because the weapon's magazine size is at 99. Remember, the way in which this weapon functions is when you're already having that high rate of fire, and so in this case, you're already going to be aiming down your sights, so that handling speed is essentially going to be null and void, and at the exact same time, you're really never going to have to worry about reloading too often, and that's because the weapon's magazine size is already at 99, and so as long as you're getting those first couple of kills, you're going to have more than enough time to easily go ahead and reload and get ready for those next couple of engagements. As long as you're doing this kind of playstyle, you're only going to incur the weapon's pros, and the weapon only has even more pros that we haven't even discussed yet, and that's with all the other perks that you can find on this weapon. As you guys can see, the Sweet Business also has polygon rifling, high caliber rounds, and composite stock. Now I'm not going to go into all the details with each one of these particular perks, but in short, polygon rifling is going to give you great recoil control, composite stock is only going to increase the range and the handling speed simultaneously, where high caliber rounds is not only going to give you another range benefit, it's also going to flinch guardians, allowing the enemy guardians to miss more of their shots while you only hit more of your shots, getting that great TTK and to truly decimate guardians. All in all, if I had to say whether or not this weapon was good, bad, or neither, I would actually say it's quite freaking good. But the only way in which it becomes so is if you get the high rate of fire and pre-fire at 900 rounds per minute. If you're not doing this, this weapon is by all means the worst and most hideous weapon in this entire game. But as long as you can get that high rate of fire and that pre-fire mentality, this Sweet Business is not only going to flinch enemy guardians at that incredibly high rate of fire with high caliber rounds, but it's also going to allow you to obliterate them extremely fast and at the exact same time take no flinch whatsoever due to the wonderful perk called Serious Business that can only be found on the Masterwork version of this exotic auto rifle. Having said all of these things, I'm very intrigued to hear all your guys' thoughts on exactly what I just said, and whether or not you agree with my assessment or you disagree, or whether you're kind of somewhere in between. And regardless of wherever you lie, your opinion is still your opinion, and I can't wait to hear exactly what it is. Lastly, go ahead and check out some of my other new videos, as you guys can see right there on the screen. If you happen to enjoy this one, then you're definitely going to enjoy this as well. That's pretty much all I've got for you as of right now. And so as always, Deislayers, great gaming, until next time.